All right. Good morning, everyone. Today is March 18th, 2021. Welcome to the Board of Liquor License Commissioners of Baltimore City hearing. My name is Nicholas Blendy. I'm the Deputy Executive Secretary. Just to briefly go over what today will be about, we are conducting hearings virtually on the WebEx platform. All materials, evidence, and related items for this docket are inside, and we're due on Tuesday, the 16th. If you're unfamiliar with WebEx, it is an online platform that had some glitches this morning, but fully functions and allows us to hold the hearings, and we're thankful for that. We ask everybody to be familiar with the system. You should be using a laptop, smartphone, or similar device with a camera. If you're going to use a device, we ask that you familiarize yourself with it beforehand. And we will, of course, be patient and ask for patience from all of you as we work through any glitches that may arise. Materials for today's hearings can be found on our website under the hyperlinks for March 18th, 2021. As I mentioned before, the 48-hour rule for evidence for online hearings is in effect, and all evidence that will be heard and considered by the board today must have been submitted by 11 a.m. Tuesday the 16th. And the outline for how today will go. I will preliminarily read the instructions and ground rules for the hearing, which I'm doing right now, and then I will call each case as it is in order on the short docket. Chairman of the board will then ask the licensee or his or her representative and any and all liquor license or other agency personnel to identify themselves who are going to provide testimony for the hearing so the court reporter may swear them in. I will then call the case, and the board will conduct an evidentiary hearing, which will include calling witnesses, testimony, reviewing any documents that have been entered into the record in order that they may determine whether or not a violation occurred. Upon the conclusion of a hearing, which may include any closing arguments by a licensee or representative, the board will vote to determine whether or not a violation occurred. If the board finds a violation occurred, the board may then hear testimony or review evidence before imposing any sentence. At that moment, the board will provide an opportunity to the general public to present any testimony at the mitigation phase. And at that, I will ask if any individual from the public would like to testify. Please use the raise your hand feature within WebEx. It is located at the bottom of your WebEx program. All individuals who testify will be subject to questioning, and you will have to be sworn in under oath to testify. And remember, if you only have access to a phone and we cannot see your video, you may not testify. Upon hearing all of the evidence and testimony from the mitigation phase, the board will then make a sentencing determination, which could include a fine, suspension, and/or revocation. The ground rules. Please mute yourself when you're not speaking to minimize feedback and extra noise. Please identify yourself and state the correct spelling of your name before you speak so our court reporter may properly record that information. Please speak slowly and in a clear voice so that the court reporter understands what is being said and who is saying it. We note that this event is running live on Charm TV, and we do have a court reporter present. We reserve the right to expel any unruly, disrespectful, or profane individuals from this virtual hearing. And we remind you that you all must be sworn in prior to giving testimony. We ask that you're prepared. We ask that you're in a quiet location with good lighting and a good internet connection so that we can see and hear you clearly. We ask that you pay attention and be in the moment and not be multitasking. And as I stated at the outset, we do ask that you please be patient with yourself and with others as the virtual platform definitely provides its challenges at times. With that said, the short docket is up. I note that the first case has been postponed with a timely motion. Mr. Chairman, if you don't have anything to say, please let me know if you're ready to move forward with the first case.
Let's proceed. Thank you.
The first case before the board today, number 2 on the docket, licensee Mrigendra Homagian and Stephen Morgan, Kantha Inc., trading as Garden Hub, located at 5511 Bel Air Road, 21206. Licensee holds a Class BD7 beer, wine, and liquor license. Licensee is charged with 2 violations stemming from October 16th, 2020, violation of Rule 3.0B, sanitation and safety, and violation of Rule 4.16, illegal conduct.
Are they represented by counsel?
Yes, Mr. Kadensky is representing them, and I am moving him into the panel now.
Okay.
For the record, Melvin J. Kadensky.
I think your video's off, Mr. Kadensky.
I'm trying to get in there now. Oh, here we're coming
There
in.
we go.
There we go. Shows you even a blind squirrel can find a nut once in a while.
Good morning, Mr. Kadensky. Is this going to be an admission or denial?
I'd just like to talk to the inspector a bit. I'm a little bit confused about the violations, if I could.
Well, let me, who's with you?
Mr. Homigan, right here next to me.
Well, let's swear him and the inspector. Okay.
Inspector Tudhope.
Yes, sir, I'm here.
Okay.
Let's swear them both, please.
Okay. Mr. Homigan and Inspector Tudhope, please raise your right hand. Thank you. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you are about to give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God, or under penalty of perjury?
Yes,
I do.
I do.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. So, Mr. Kadensky, you said you had a question for Inspector Tudhope?
If I may. Inspector, you charged a violation of 308B, is that correct?
I charged for safety and sanitation, sir.
Well, according to the docket, it's 308B.
Can you tell me what that one is, sir?
That's usually something you should know, but
I'm happy to step in. Yes, the charge was 308B, and that reads, for the record, licensee shall provide containers for the disposal of garbage and refuse material. These containers shall conform with the requirements of the city. Licensees shall keep the containers covered at all times and shall remove all refuse regularly.
is that correct? Inspector? Yes?
Yes, sir.
All right. So he did have a container.
He did have a dumpster. It was open, overflowing, and that's where the rodents were coming in and out of.
Where was the dumpster? It wasn't on the licensed premises, was it?
It was on the side of the premises, and I did ask him if that was his dumpster, and he did state yes.
But the question was, it wasn't on the licensed premises. Is that correct?
It was on the side of the premises.
Side of the building, correct?
Yes, sir.
And you had indicated, and you had some pictures that
I
you had
did,
given.
sir.
And commissioners, you have the pictures in front of you? Or I don't want to presume you do or don't have them. There was abundance of trash in that whole area. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And not only there, but throughout that whole neighborhood. Is that correct?
I did not check the whole neighborhood. I just checked his side of the building and the back of his building.
All right. And then when you talked, there was no health violation here. Is that correct?
No,
All right. And you said you got a 311 report call. Is that correct?
yes, sir.
Do you know who it was from?
I don't, sir.
Okay.
I have the complaint number if you need it.
Okay. And then when you talked with a representative of the licensee, they were very cooperative with you. Is that correct?
They were, sir, yes.
And then at some time thereafter, you returned and it was rectified?
I returned the next day and he had fixed the problem, yes.
All right. And you had filed a charge for illegal conduct,
I
4.16, correct?
If it's on there, then yes, sir.
Yeah.
Okay, it is. I'm not trying to trick you. and legal conduct says a licensee may not commit or allow the commission on the licensed premises. So this dumpster wasn't on the licensed premises, on the side of the building, correct?
It was on the side of the building attached. There was a fence attached to his building. It
right.
belonged to him.
Yeah, I got that, but it was not the licensed premises. He couldn't sell alcohol out there on top of the dumpster, could he?
No.
Okay. I mean, I don't want to try, and in essence, what you're saying is the same thing you said before with regard to the dumpster, but this was not on the licensed premises.
No, sir, but the dumpster belongs to the licensee.
We got that. All right. I don't have any further questions.
All right, thank you. Do you want to present any evidence, Mr. Kennedy?
Well, can I file a motion with regard to 4.16, because obviously it wasn't on the licensed premises. We've asked that charge be dismissed.
I'll dismiss that charge.
All right. And if it makes it easier for everybody, as I try to do, I could proffer this situation here, if I may.
Go ahead.
All right. In this instance, the licensee was having problems with these pickup persons that were picking up the trash. He had to get a new person to do it. And in addition to that, there was a gentleman in the area who was going in and picking trash up from a lot of places and dumpster diving, as they call it. His name was Jerry Pruitt. And he, in fact, not only did he bring things from other neighborhoods and back, one time there was a fire back there, he broke into a bunch of locations. And unfortunately, we couldn't have him testify here because somebody took offense with him and they killed him and they chopped him up and they put him in a dumpster, not ours. It was just somebody else's dumpster. So it was something that was prevalent in the neighborhood, and the licensee in this case was doing whatever they could to monitor the situation and get a new refuse company in there. And of course, they were not cited by the health department, although we don't deny that the situation was there, but it could have happened that the person was strewing this over the neighborhood, and he took care of it.
So this was not city trash collecting. They had private people coming?
I'm sorry, I missed it.
It was not city trash collection. They had private.
Oh, no, he had private. Yeah, he had a private purveyor who would stop. I, in fact, had to write a letter to them indicating that they were in violation of their contract.
Okay. And how long did that go on?
A month or two. Of course, we were in the middle of COVID and everything, and people weren't coming and making the collections like they were supposed to. As you know, the city for the longest time wasn't making any collections regarding bulk. So it's hard to say exactly because we're going back to October.
Okay. Anything further?
Nothing. We would submit in trying to put the circumstances in their proper perspective.
Understood. The commissioners have any questions?
I have no questions.
No questions.
Mr. Blendy, do we have others who want to testify?
If any member of the public has anything they wish to testify on this matter, please use the raise your hand feature in the WebEx platform. Mr. Chairman, I don't see any member of the public who wishes to testify.
Okay. All right. Anything further, Mr.
I would submit.
All right. On the basis then of the materials contained in the charging documents, the testimony received, and the proffer from counsel, I would find Rule 3.08B on October 16, 2020. I would dismiss the violation of Rule 4.16 on October 16, 2020. And in consideration of these unusual circumstances, I'd impose a nominal fine of $50 and give him 30 days to pay.
Commissioner Guy, in consideration of the testimony and evidence presented to the board in this case this morning, I would also find that the licensee is in violation of Rule 3.08B, Sanitation and Safety, which took place on October the 16th, 2020, and I agree with the fine of $50 payable in 30 days. I would also move to dismiss the violation of Rule 4.16 illegal conduct that allegedly took place on October the 16th, 2020.
On the basis of the charging document, would find a violation of Rule 3.08B on October 16, 2020, would concur with the imposition of a $50 fine, and would also concur with my colleagues in dismissing Rule 4.16, which occurred on October 16, 2020.
Place all exhibits for the record. Board Exhibit 1, Violation Report, Inspector Tudhope. Board Exhibit Number 2, BCLB 311 Complaint, Database Printout dated 10/16/20.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. And the next hearing, Mr. Hurdle's going to do it from my office, allowing to use my equipment with no charge.
Kind of you.
That concludes this matter before the board. Licensee will receive communication via mail concerning payment of the fine and any follow-up that needs to be done. Mr. Chairman, ready to move on?
Yes.
The next item on the docket before you is the licensee Lenny Sierra Incorporated, trading as Trio, 3907 to 23 East Lombard Street, 21224. The licensee holds a Class B beer, wine, and liquor license. Licensee has been charged with 3 violations, 2 stemming from August 30th, 2020, which are a violation of Rule 3.12, General Welfare, and a violation of Rule 4.16, Illegal Conduct. Licensee is also charged with a separate violation of Rule 4.16, Illegal Conduct, on December 31st, 2020, for the forfeit of a SSTAT corporate entity. Inspectors are Agents Perez, Inspector Tudhope, Inspector Jordan, Inspector Robinson, and everyone in the room with you, Mr. Hurdle? Who's going to tell? Okay.
Want to state your name for the record, please, counsel?
Abraham Hurdle, HURDLE, on behalf of Sierra Inc. With me is Mr. Lenny Sierra, the licensee.
And will these be admissions?
We are going to admit the first 2 violations, which we would argue should be merged as well. And we have, I guess, an excuse, perhaps. The third one, we would dispute. Yeah.
Okay, well, that's rather technical matter. We can get to. We'll need. Are you going to put on testimony on the third one, or are you going to proffer something?
We're being accused, so I guess the board is supposed to put testimony on accusing us of that violation. We don't know who it is. It doesn't say who. The other violations indicate different inspectors. I don't know who the person is who determined that on the 31st.
Well, we can figure that out. All right, who got the evidence that the license was in default, the corporate entity?
Mr. Chairman, that was put in by my predecessor, and it came from the SSTAT website.
All right, let's swear you in, Mr. Blendy, okay?
Okay.
And are you going to have your client testify as well, Mr. Hurdle?
No.
All right, well, let's swear Mr. Blendy.
Okay.
Well, I would object to Mr. Blendy's testimony, as he wasn't the person who was the BLLC staff that conducted the follow-up. He wasn't the person, he wasn't the witness.
I was the witness for March 2nd.
I don't know what all that background noise is, but he is either in forfeiture or not. Do you have evidence that he is not?
I do. When all the bills have been paid, and they were paid yesterday.
Oh,
My other concern is just some questions to Mr. Blendy, I guess, who's going to be testifying
sure.
today.
Yeah, I'm comfortable if you're comfortable, Mr. Chairman.
All right, I'm confused, and I don't know where all that noise is coming from, but
Someone may be organizing files behind the computer. I do apologize. I've scolded them, and now they're not.
all right, Mr.
Gently,
Hurdle, are you that there was a problem, it was cured yesterday? Is that what you're saying?
So I guess, if I may, my 2 arguments here are the issue has been resolved. And the concern I have is why this is a violation at all. I understand that a forfeited company is certainly a problem. And I think during normal circumstances, that is absolutely grounds for a violation. If my car registration is out of date and I get pulled over, I should receive a ticket. However, that's not the situation right now. If I get pulled over today and my registration is out of date, I don't get a ticket. We're still in a state of emergency, and I don't know that I can go to the DMV. I know that I cannot walk into SDAT to resolve things. I know that I cannot get these issues resolved in the normal timeline. There is a fair argument that my client has been doing just plain his best to survive the last year through this situation. And now we're dinging them with what I would consider to be a ticky-tack violation, when that's just not, I just think it's kind of not in keeping with the spirit of the state of emergency, which, again, I think the governor's order would, I believe, would preclude this violation from being assessed against my client in any capacity. I'm not disagreeing that they're forfeited, which has been resolved, but I think it being found a violation during the state of emergency, it's not good sporting, I guess is the best way to make that argument.
On the other hand, I don't think they can operate when they're forfeit, so I don't know what you want us to do. I think you're making a mountain out of a molehill, but anyway. Do you want to have give us an excuse as to the first two violations?
The excuse with regards to the first two violations, quite simply, my client's doing everything he can to operate. August was an interesting time. My understanding was that the mayor at the time had been issuing various orders. August was back when things were looking favorable, but ultimately kind of tipped back a couple months later. So things were reopening in some capacity. New orders were being made all the time. My client, frankly, was confused. As soon as the violation was pointed out to him, even per the violation itself, he immediately resolved the issue, and it hasn't been a problem since.
Okay. Thank you. The commissioners have any questions?
No
Question,
questions.
Guy, I have no questions.
No questions, Mr. Chairman.
Is there additional testimony, Mr. Blendy?
If there is any member of the public who wishes to testify on this matter, please use the raise your hand feature on the WebEx platform. Mr. Chairman, I do not see any member of the public who wishes to testify.
Okay. Anything further, Mr. Hurdle?
No, thank you.
All right, on the basis of the materials contained in the charging documents, testimony, if any, that we received, as well as the proffers from counsel and the admissions by counsel of the violations of 3.12 and 4.16, I would find a violation of Rule 3.12, general welfare, on August 30, 2020, and a violation of Rule 4.16, illegal conduct, on August 30, 2020. As to the 4.16 violation on December 31, since it's been cured and under the circumstances, I would dismiss that violation. As to the first two, I'd impose, again, considering all the circumstances, fines of $50 as to each and give them 30 days to pay. Commissioners?
Commissioner Guy, based upon the proffer of Mr. Hurl and the evidence presented to the board this morning in this case, I would also find in violation the licensee being in violation of Rule 3.12, general welfare, August the 30th, 2020, and the violation of Rule 4.16, illegal conduct, which took place on August the 30th, 2020. I find in violation with a fine of $50 for each offense payable for 30 days. For violation of Rule 4.16, illegal conduct, which took place on December the 31st, 2020, I would agree to dismiss that violation.
Based upon the charging documents, the testimony, and the proffers from Mr. Hurdle, along with the admissions on the first two violations, I find a violation of Rule 3.12 on August 30, 2020 will concur with the imposition of a $50 fine. I also find a violation of Rule 4.16, illegal conduct, on August 30, 2020, concur with the imposition of a $50 fine, and would join my colleagues in dismissing 4.16, the forfeited charter based upon the licensees curing said forfeited charter.
Michael Exhibits for the record. Board Exhibit 1, violation report, Agent Perez. Board Exhibit 2, use permit detail printout. Exhibit 3, SDET printout dated 12/31/20. Exhibit number 4, SDET printout dated 3/2/2021. And exhibit number 5, Mayor's executive order dated 8/7/20.
That concludes this matter before the board. Licensee will receive follow-up information via mail with instructions on payment of fines and further details.
Thank you, commissioners.
Mr. Chairman, are we ready to move to the next one?
Yes, sir.
The next matter before you is licensee Mijane Harris, Mayel LLC, trading as Select Lounge, 415 North Paca Street, 21201. Licensee is a Class BD7 beer, wine, and liquor license holder, and licensee is charged with 3 violations. Violation of Rule 4.16, illegal conduct stemming from August 29th, 2020. Violation of Rule 3.12, general welfare, August 29th, 2020, and violation of Rule 4.16, illegal conduct stemming from a March 4th, 2020 search of the SDAT website. Mr. Chairman, I do note that that matter has been cured and the LLC is in good standing as of my search this morning, for your record.
Thank
With
you.
that,
Are they represented by counsel?
Mr. Wold indicated that, or Wold indicated that he is not represented by counsel. Mr. Wolde, who is with you?
I'm just by my.
I'm sorry.
You're by
who is
yourself?
Mr. Walde?
Yeah.
Who is Mr. Walde?
He is the operator of the establishment at the time, according to the testimony. I do not believe he is the licensee.
Okay. Let's swear him in.
And Agent Perez, I believe, is giving the.
All right, let's swear them both in, please.
Okay. Mr. Wolde, would you be able to turn on your video?
Hold on, I'm trying. Oh. I'm in. How do you turn the TV?
It should be at the bottom. It should say start video.
Yeah, okay, hold on 1 second. You got resetting.
There you go. That's Agent Perez. Okay. Where are we? Is Mr. Wald here? We lost him?
I'm in.
Mr. Wald, can you turn on your camera, please?
I turned it on.
There you are. Okay, good. Thank you.
Okay.
All right, let's swear them, please.
Okay. All right. Please raise your right hand. Thanks. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you are about to give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, to help you God, or under penalty of perjury? And please state your name before your response.
This is Alex Wall.
Okay. And your response?
I do.
Thank you.
Okay. Good morning, Mr. Wald. Are you
Morning,
authorized to represent Ms. Harris in this?
Yes.
Okay. So I'm going to dismiss the charge about the forfeited charter, but there are 2 remaining charges from August 29. Do you wish to admit and explain them or deny them?
Yeah, I admit it. And
Okay.
I just.
All right. You want to give us your explanation, sir?
Yes, Your Honor. At the time, of pandemic going on, the mayor announced we can have. I'm not quite sure. 50% for outside, but the rent came from out of nowhere, so start raining. So we had a customer who had a tab, all that stuff and friends around. So we let them inside in to shelter them from the rain. So at the, the inspectors came at the same time, and everybody paid the tab and they left.
Okay, so Agent Perez, is that accurate?
No, sir, not entirely. What we observed was a full-blown party.
And had it been raining?
It was raining really hard that night, sir. That is accurate.
Okay. And so, Mr. Wald, you're saying that these people were outside and then they came in?
They were outside, and we kind of let them in. We want them to pay the tab, and the inspector instructed us we have to close, and we close.
Was he cooperative, Agent Perez?
Yes, it was, sir.
And did you see the people paying their tabs and leaving?
I do not recall. It's been a while.
Okay. All right. Do the commissioners have questions?
I have no questions.
Mr. Wall, just one question. Are you making sure that you're keeping up with the various orders that are being sent down? Because it seems like this was a little bit more than an issue of simply folks coming in during a rainstorm. It looks like you had people dancing and, as Agent Perez said, a full-scale party. So I guess my question is, are you making sure that you're up to speed on every single order as much as you can be?
Yes, sir. We're very cooperative. We go with every guideline, and whatever a mayor want us to do, that's what we follow up.
Okay, thank you. Nothing further, Mr. Chairman.
Do we have others to testify, Mr. Bundy?
If there are any members of the public who wish to testify on this matter, please use the raise your hand feature on your WebEx platform. Mr. Chairman, I do not see any members of the public who wish to testify.
All right, thank you. On the basis then of the materials contained in the charging documents, testimony received, I find a violation of Rule 4.16, illegal conduct, on August 29, 2020, and a violation of Rule 3.12, general welfare, on August 29, 2020. I'm dismissing the March 4 violation, and as to each of these violations, I'm imposing $75 fines for a total of $150 to be paid in 30 days. Commissioners?
Commissioner Guy, based upon the testimony of the licensee and the evidence presented to the board in this case this morning, I would also find in violation Rule 4.16, illegal conduct, which took place on August 29th, 2020, and violation of Rule 3.12, general welfare, which also took place on August 29th, 2020. I found them in violation, and I concur with the fine of $75 for each offense, payable in 30 days. As far as the violation of Rule 4.16, illegal conduct, as of March 4th, 2020, I would also vote to dismiss that charge.
Based upon the charging documents, the testimony, I too find a violation of Rule 4.16 on August 29, 2020, concur with the imposition of a $75 fine. I also find a violation of Rule 3.12 on August 29, 2020, concur with the imposition of $75, and join my colleagues in dismissing Rule 4.16.
I'd call exhibits for the record. Board Exhibit 1, violation report, Agent Perez. Board Exhibit 2, mayoral executive order dated 8/7/20. And Exhibit number 3, STEP printout dated 3/4/21.
Thank you, Mr. Walden. Agent Perez.
Okay,
That concludes this matter before the board. A licensee will receive follow-up instructions via U.S. mail, including instructions on how to pay the fines. Mr. Chair, are you ready for the final matter?
Yes, please.
And is this one you, Mr. Konensky?
Yes, it is.
Final matter before the board today, licensee Carol D. Wilson, 627 Duncan Restaurant LLC, trading as Genaise 2 at 625-27 North Duncan Street, 21205. Licensee holds a Class D beer, wine, and liquor license. Licensee is charged with 2 violations stemming from November 25th, 2020, violation of Rule 4.16 illegal conduct, and violation of Rule 3.12 general welfare.
Mr. Knessy, you want to identify yourself for the record, please?
320 North Charles Street, representing the licensee. I have with me Mr. Rodney Brown, who was on the premises at the time, was the manager and is the son of the licensee.
And are these going to be admissions or denials?
It's going to be, we don't deny the facts as they were given. My only question is that whether it meets the criteria for a 3.12 violation. As far as the violation of the mayor's and governor's order, I think there was some confusion as to the amount of people, but they were over that 25%. So,
Okay. So is Mr. Brown going to testify or not?
I think, I just proffered what, and he was cooperative and he stopped. It's a 6-day small operation. It's no big nightclub or anything like that. And they're just trying to survive. And I think it is confusing with regard to whether the governor's right or the mayor's right or whether anybody's right. We just let it go at that.
Okay. And let me see here. All right. Okay, so commissioners have any questions?
I have none.
No questions.
Do we have others who wish to testify?
If there's any member of the public who wishes to testify on this matter, please use the raise your hand feature on the WebEx platform. Mr. Chairman, I do not see any members of the public who wish to testify.
All right, Mr. Knessy, on the basis then the materials contain the charging documents, your admission with an explanation proper, I would find a violation of Rule 4.16, illegal conduct on November 25, 2020, and a violation of Rule 3.12, general welfare on November 25, 2020. As to each violation, I'd impose $50 fines and give 30 days to pay.
Commissioner Guy, based upon the proffer of Mr. Kudinski and the information that was given in this case this morning, I would also find in violation, the licensee in violation of Rule 4.16 illegal conduct and violation of Rule 3.12 general welfare, both taking place on November the 25th, 2020. I concur with the fine of $50 for each offense payable in 30 days.
Based upon the charging documents, the proffers from Mr. Kudinski, and the admission, I too find a violation of Rule 4.16 on November 25th, 2020, and concur with the imposition of a $50 fine. I also find a violation of Rule 4.12 on November 25th, 2020, and concur with the imposition of a $50 fine.
I'd like to call exhibits for the record. Board Exhibit Number 1, Investigation Report, Agent Clark. Board Exhibit 2, Mayor Executive Order, dated 11/12/2020.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Licensee will receive follow-up instructions in the mail, including on how to pay the fine and the decision of the board.
Thank you.
I believe that concludes our docket for today.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, members of the board and members of the public, the board will be in recess until Thursday, March 25th, 2021. The board shall post on its website, provide notice to applicants and/or attorneys, and conduct a virtual hearing on this date. We invite you to please call our office at 410-396-4377 between 8:30 a.m. and 4:30 p.m. with any questions or concerns anyone has regarding this or any other matter. Mr. Chairman, that concludes the business we have before you today.
Thank you, Mr. Bundy, and thanks everyone for their cooperation, and we will see you next week.